and welcome to round one with modern land swans. Uh, our delightful 39 mana source deck is currently having mana issues, so that's a snap mulligan on the draw here. But at least it mulls okay. I think you kind of just have to keep like gas card, Scryland stuff. And my opponent pretty early on indicates that they're amulet. And I actually forget which way they scried on that. I don't think it changes my decisions a ton. They put card top bottom. There's a ton of mixes, but pretty good draw on Crusher. And I make the decision to Heath and then Scry because there's nothing I want on 2 and I want to maximize my Scry value. Which ends up being a little loose because they have the double amulet draw. And now I have to play Ghost Quarter and don't get to play my tap land. If I don't play Ghost Quarter here, they just play Bounce Land and I die. It's very bad. They get Summoner's Pact. Still priced into keeping up Ghost Quarter or dying. But next turn I'll Crusher. That was a Molten Vortex that I'm going to obviously keep because it's not a land, and I think you just kind of have to keep anything. Double Amulet is still nonsense. Also, something I noticed is why is there no Temple Garden? You have so many lands, like this hand wanted a Temple Garden in it because it could filter the red here. It feels like there should just be one in all of your lanes. There just isn't. But my opponent goes for a Growth Chamber. I blow my Ghost Quarter on it. Weird timing on their part. I guess it kind of implies that I'm just going to get Titan next turn. But I can't because they're bouncing a land. Another bounce land? Anyways, I'm revealing a little bit further. But one thing to note there is that the timing on that could have been set up such that it makes Loam a little worse. But I'm not 100% on that. It's possible they just have to cast it at some point. Anyways, we play our red source and jam the Crusher. Our opponent spends mana to EE the Crusher. I follow up with my other threat, having to play the basic planes to cast it. I'm stuck with all these tap lands in hand, which is a bit awkward. One thing worth noting is a couple turns ago I could have played Molten Vortex and just left up red, red, red to kill a Primeval Titan. But the problem is that they'll just chain off Titan off of Talaria West, and that just does, like, I kill the first one with 3 lands and I just don't have resources and I die. And here they Titan and I kind of check out on what's happening in this game. I think that's generally not inappropriate, but it's Amulet can make mistakes and mess things up. So my opponent has Summoner's Pact for Azusa to add mana so that they can pact up another Titan. And now they get Slayer Stronghold, give both their things haste, and they attack. And I actually make a bit of a mistake here, I think. I also think they make a mistake here as well. Unless the Vesuvas are all in their hand, or they only have one Vesuva. These lists I thought usually had 2, but if they had a second Vesuva, they could have gotten another Sun home and killed me, but they didn't. Anyways, they do a bunch of stuff. I opt not to block, and the math comes out such that because I draw Arid Mesa, and because of this, because I didn't play, like, there's so many cascading effects that lead to me at this point being unable to survive another turn. I could have, oh no, they have Slayer's Stronghold. I'm just dead regardless. Never mind. I was thinking I could have had it so I could Vortex whatever Titan they double strike so that I don't get trampled over for lethal. But I guess if I had played the correct land on 1, I wouldn't have had to take a pain here to Vortex 3 times and kill the other Titan. Then I get trampled over and they draw cards, and then I'm still basically dying another one. But I could have lived another turn. Instead, I die. Sad times. And I kind of desperation pitch just to see what could happen, and the answer's nothing. So sideboarding here, I just swapped my interaction. It was pretty straightforward. Ways to kill Amulet. This is a way to stop my opponent from going off on the same turn. They can't Slayer Stronghold to give their Titan haste and chain off if I can redirect it. And then Sensors obviously shuts down the entire deck. Not a ton of real decisions here, at least that's what I thought. Okay, so game 2 here, where we are on the play. Yeah, we have a hand that Countryside crushes my opponent and then doesn't die quickly to Amulet. Looks great. I scryed Wear Tear to bottom. Even though it's a spell, it's not a spell that actually interacts with my opponent more than the Sanction Grudge I already have. And I thought about it after. It's possible I should have saved this for Crusher. I could have played this instead, but I guess that involves playing the Canopy earlier. I could have pumped Crusher an additional 1 in the long run. Here I get my green source for Loam, blow that up, land my Crusher. You know, if they had the second amulet, they would have done something crazier on their turn. I wasn't too concerned about what was going on. So being exposed for turns not an issue. So I end up revealing a Life from the Loam as the card I'm going to draw. No real help, but because of Crusher, we'll eventually get somewhere. And now here I have Ancient Grudge up. Stop a future amulet. Now we've kind of reached a weird game state where I have a creature bigger than a Titan. This is something that happened a decent amount when I played Bogles. It just got real weird. Okay, so we hit a Seismic Assault after chaining off a few lands, and that lets us assault Loam. And here, you know, I'm immediately gunning down the Titan to get it out of the way. I opt not to just kill the plant token. I'll get a land to kill it later, and I could actually lose to my opponent having like Nature's Claim plus Titan or something silly next turn. So I don't think there's a reason to expose myself to kill the plant token. So my opponent packs up another Titan. I hit another Swans that's not super relevant. And I completely mess up the game this turn. I opt to combo off. You know, I get back a land, have 2 lands in hand. I'm going to start shooting Swans. And something I didn't quite realize with this list, I was used to the way an older list functioned, and I end up decking myself here without finding the requisites. I need 6 lands to kill all my opponent's stuff and then kill them, which funnily, if I had attacked last turn, I would only need 5, and I hit that at some point. But there's 2 things I didn't realize here. The first is that with only 35 actual lands, the list I'm used to seeing from way back had like 43. So with 35 actual lands, you don't really, when you're discarding a card to deal 2 damage to Swans, you're drawing, it's a lot closer to drawing land spell mix. You're not actually getting anywhere other than putting cards into your hand. And with the mana I have untapped, which is none, I can't really do anything with my Spirit Guides to make it better. So it's not really actually getting me anywhere. I kind of realized I incremented it a couple points and I was close, which is why I kept going instead of stopping. I could have like stopped and then stared down the Titan, accepted the attack. The attack gets, you know, my opponent got an Engineer Explosives last turn with the Talaria West, and even if they didn't, the attack would have gotten that and blown up these. But I could have refueled with another assault or whatever. You know, I have all these cards. I could have just drawn to a point where I had enough to beat the Titan and stopped, or beat the follow-up Titan, or just gun down this Titan and just live my life with like an extra assault or whatever in hand. But So the thing I didn't realize was that you don't actually increment lands. And then the other thing I didn't realize in sideboarding is that the way around that is actually the Simian Spirit Guides and Lightning Bolts. And that's like a kind of crucial-ish part of the deck when comboing. And I kind of took that apart on accident. I wasn't thinking about it at the time. So it's worth noting that those two interactions are kind of crucial to what's going on. But it is kind of weird that you don't actually, like, once you swans kill your opponent, you don't really get that far ahead. I don't actually know what the odds are of you dealing 20, but it feels like it's not that great, especially if you like use a spirit guide. So that doesn't feel right, but the pieces are kind of there. So anyways, I punted this game to lose, but in a weird, non-intuitive way.